Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 5 of season 2 of our F125 Aston Martin driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here in the Miami Gardens for the Miami Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Jeddah, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Of course, we've had a pretty good start to the year. 4 races down, we've had 3 race victories to kickstart the year, of course, after we got a little bit lucky with the safety car last weekend. But ultimately, I think it's safe to say we had the pace over Oscar Piastri nonetheless. It does mean in the World Championship, we have got a 33-point lead already. Consistency has been key so far this year. Just that 1 5th place in Japan is a bit of a blemish on our record so far. I believe, yeah, there's a few of us that have still scored points in every Grand Prix so far. Max Verstappen, he had a terrible time out last weekend, which now leaves him tied with Oscar Piastri for P2 in the World Championship. But of course, yeah, Miami though this weekend, the first sprint race of the season, so I'm expecting this one to be a rather tough challenge for us. We're 1 point behind McLaren in the Constructors' Championship right now. Honestly, it's going to depend on how well Fernando is able to do over the course of the year as well. But interestingly, if I can just take a look at our recognition, we're currently now even with Fernando for the first time inside this series as well. So, Aston Martin, despite the fact we've got, what, 10 times Alonso's points, finally now see me as a mere equal to the Spaniard as well. So, we're trying to go through, we're trying to get as many upgrades on the car as we possibly can. But of course, with these really, really expensive upgrades, it is very, very difficult to kind of maintain the momentum that we were hoping for at this stage. Of course, get yourself subscribed. A massive thank you to everybody for the continued support as well. I'd love to hit 100k one day and get another one of these. But yeah, timestamps as always will be linked down below. We've got a long one ahead of us. We're ready for Miami.
Welcome back to Miami and welcome to qualifying. Only raw speed will separate these drivers today, but the question is, who's got what it takes to get pole?
Well, there's only one word to describe the Miami Grand Prix this weekend, and that is soggy. We're meant to see rain pretty much throughout the entirety of weekends running, and well, this is going to be a fantastic test then to see just how well or not well some of the patches have been to F125 as well, because of course Miami, one of the worst circuits in terms of kind of the car bottoming out and therefore the AI being ridiculously fast, but also on the other side of that, of course, with the wet conditions as well. Apparently they are slowly patching that as well inside F125, so hopefully we're gonna, stand a bit of a chance. We've won 3 of the first 4 Grand Prix. You should expect us on paper to be very, very competitive here. I fueled up the car to go for a couple of runs. This first lap is just going to be more of a banker before we really try and go for it. Well, there we go then. We did go purple through the middle sector on that lap, but that's not too much of a surprise around this circuit. We'll do a 37.9. I mean, up straight into P2 then. Still a little way behind Charles Leclerc, as there you go, Max Verstappen on 136.3. This circuit is ramping up. But again, then purple through that middle sector, but even Nico Hülkenberg now has gone quicker than me. Then again, based on his Silverstone performance of the weekend, he might well be one of the quickest drivers on the Formula 1 grid right now. He was able to beat Verstappen, he was able to beat Hamilton in what is effectively a green wheelie bin, but making our way then out through the final corner. You can see we're going to find about another second here, so we're going to put ourselves a bit closer to the front. We go 9,000 slower than the German, but Lando Norris has done a 135.8. There we are, that 135.8 from Lando Norris, a very, very good time there. Half a second clear of Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri in 3rd, just ahead of Charles Leclerc. I'll be honest, that's probably a pretty good scenario for us. 1.2 seconds off in the end. I definitely could have got the jump on Nico, but I think, Miami is always going to be a track where the AI are very good inside this game. Lewis Hamilton will be left wondering what on earth went wrong there to be lining up down in P18 right at the back of the field. He was slower than Isaac Hadjar in the V car.
It's wet here today and we're expecting those downpours to continue. This will make for a difficult sprint for all the teams. Well, it's certainly not sunny here in the Sunshine State. A lap of the Miami Grand Prix features 19 corners and 3.36 miles of track around the Hard Rock Stadium. But these conditions should prove especially difficult for all of our drivers today. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Piastri, Leclerc, George Russell and Hulkenberg, Mr. Monaco, Colapinto, Fernando Alonso and Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Sainz, Albon, Gabriel Bortoleto and Ocon, Doohan, Gasly, Isaac Hadjar and Lewis Hamilton, Behrman and Liam Lawson rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Okay, mate, I know it's tough in there, it's hot in that cockpit, but your tyres are even hotter, so you're going to have to work extra hard to keep them cool. It matters for performance.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case, Mark. I think we're actually going to be trying to nurse the tyres and actually build up some heat in them over the course of this sprint race. The rain is meant to stop, though, so could we see anybody trying to be brave and potentially opting for a set of dry compound tyres towards the end of this? But yeah, lining up alongside another green machine. Not the one I was hoping to be, though. I need Alonso to do a little bit better early on this year. 5 red lights are on, though. Oh, and a mighty long hole, but it is lights out. And away we go then, as Norris has done pretty well. Everybody else, for whatever reason, moving to the middle of the circuit, down in towards turn 1. Can I find some grip around the outside? No, we can't. As Franco Colapinto trying to have a bit of a look for a move. Oh, we just are able to cover him off there, as Leclerc already applying some pressure to Max Verstappen. George Russell able to hold off Nico Hulkenberg this time as we make our way down in towards the S's then. But Lando Norris streaking away into an early lead in this Grand Prix. We've got to use this Aston Martin strong point, and that is, of course, the downforce. As down the inside of Nico Hulkenberg we will go. And let's see then what the straight line speed now is really like around this circuit.
Let's try and move forward.
I mean, we are running slightly higher wing than what I would do in the dry around here, but it's clear that the AI's still got a few extra tenths in the back pocket as well. There is all Piastri trying to look down the inside of Max Verstappen by the time we get down in towards the switchback section.
Rain, then we think it's going to dry up. 10 minutes. Inters seem to be the fastest tyre for now.
Well, there we go then, 10 minutes of rain, so it is going to stop raining, or it should do, before the end of this sprint. But I don't think we're going to make the call for a set of dry compound tyres. I will set the team up ready to go, though, with a fresh set of softs. You know, if it stopped raining now, it might be viable. But you can already see, again, Verstappen and Oscar Piastri going wheel to wheel down in towards those final couple of corners. Oh, there's plenty of contact between the pair of them that time round, as I think they were both trying to dispute when they were going to be turning in. But we are up one spot then on lap 1. P6 is not where I want to be. Here we go then. Let's see if we can try and get a run on George Russell down the back straight. This was almost unthinkable just a couple of days ago before the new patch came in. And you can see there, we don't do badly in a straight line against the Mercedes. Obviously, normally, especially when you haven't got DRS, you're really not able to do anything against them. As Leclerc now is in hot pursuit of Lando Norris. Verstappen and Oscar Piastri seem to have settled their dispute. Ferrari do look very, very racy here, though. Franco Colapinto, haven't seen much from him so far this year, but he's not given me much room to breathe either. Oh, we've got yellows, we've got yellows. Who's that? Oh, it's Leclerc! Charles Leclerc's gone round then, and that... Oh, red flag, yeah, no surprise.
Red flag. Keep the delta positive, and let's have you straight to the pit lane, please.
Oh, well, I wasn't expecting George Russell to brake as much as he did. I fancied my chances for a split second at trying to have a look down his inside as well there, but no surprise that's a red flag. Also not really surprised that Charles Leclerc's bottled it here under no pressure whatsoever. But will it be dry? Oh, it's so close.
Essentially a free stop, so let's think very carefully about our strategy for the rest of this race.
It's such a shame that you can't see. I mean, we can't even force the dry tyre onto the wagon either, which is a little bit of a shame. But yeah, we can't kind of see the track conditions or anything like that. We're not going to have many laps to go, though, here, so we may as well just try and get on with it. But look at that, the rain has stopped then. Oh, there we go, we have been given the place over Charles Leclerc as well, and we're going to get a good start against George Russell. Back down in towards turn 1. Looks like Verstappen might be vulnerable from Oscar Piastri as well then, but I mean, this circuit feels pretty much dry as we've got yellows out again then immediately. As Verstappen kicks the back end out trying to defend from Oscar Piastri. Looks like Gabriel Bortoleto is going to be retiring from the race immediately after the restart then. But yeah, that red flag's worked quite nicely for us as well. Just trying to get used to the amount of grip that is on this circuit. On the restart down the inside of Piastri, we'll try and have a look then. And well, these conditions kind of remind me of the start of the British Grand Prix, when obviously it was intermediate conditions, but it didn't really look like it. Can we get another weather report?
Stable at the moment, no rain currently expected. Inters look like the best tyre for now.
It's down the inside of Oscar Piastri will go then. Charles Leclerc, I think, wanted to try and recover a couple of spots himself, but could we see anybody gamble dries by the end? I'm not going to hold my breath. Well, there we go. We have seen a couple of cars into the pit lane then. I hadn't noticed. But Lewis Hamilton then and one of the V-carbs have decided to make the call. I don't think it's going to be worth it towards the end of this sprint. We'll wait and see, though, just how much time they start taking out of everybody else here. But surely you can't make up 3 laps worth right towards the end there. As well, Verstappen makes a mistake. I kept hitting walls just behind him there, getting all out of shape as well. DRS hasn't been enabled yet, so surely you can't make the call. Looking at just how much the tyres are beginning to overheat towards the end of this sprint, I think it might be worth making the call over onto the dry compounded tyre. I just think that the AI, you're going to be so slow towards the end of this, and well, it is only a sprint race, you know, it doesn't matter too much. There aren't too many points available for it. So we're going to make the call onto a set of the dry compound tyres. This is a big opportunity for us. There's a set of soft compound going on.
Okay, off we go, back into the race. Perfect job from you and the crew there, mate. We're delighted with that.
Well, I thought Hamilton and Lawson had gone on to dries, but apparently not then. They'd stuck on the intermediates then, so I might just have completely bottled this race as we try and make our way back out of the pit lane. Got to try and stay on the dry line. The gap to Hadjar, 5 seconds. Actually, it feels pretty good on pit lane exit. As long as we stay kind of on this dry line. Yeah, look at that. We're already taking time out of Hadjar. Maybe this was still a good call. We've got yellows. We've got yellows again. Someone else, I think, has gone for a spin. Looks like Esteban Ocon then. No idea what's happened to him. But going round towards the end of the sprint race there. And that has held up Isaac Hadjar and a couple of other drivers then. So this gap coming down more and more. You can see, yeah, the gap 2.5 seconds then. Surely we're not going to see the AI into the pit lane now then. And Lando Norris still leading the way with 1 more to go. So, yeah, I'm not optimistic. I think we might have made a bit of an error here. To be honest, I think there's been a slight optimistic call by myself and the team. But, you know, we've got to try and learn. And I'd rather make this mistake in a sprint race where there's only 8 points for a win. It's all Hamilton now breaking down then right at the end of this sprint race. So it is all kicking off here on the Saturday sprint. Can we recover any more spots, though? Soft compound tyre is definitely the one you want to be on right now. But, of course, with so much of this circuit being straight, there's not really much time to make up time, if you will, towards the end of this one. I mean, there's still no DRS either, which seems utterly ludicrous if you ask me. There you go, finally. Well, I think, yeah, we might be able to get past Hadjar, Behrman and Doohan before the end. But even then, ahead of them, there's a big old gap. And if you just run a tiny bit wide, you can't really do anything with it then. In towards the final corners, Lando Norris is going to claim victory here today. I'm in the wall as well. Just dip the wheel on the wet stuff. Luckily, I don't think that's going to cost us anything by the end of the sprint. Lando Norris will claim victory here for the first sprint race of the year. Max Verstappen in P2 just ahead of Oscar Piastri. So we will lose a small margin against some of our main championship rivals. But we took a gamble. It hasn't paid off. It's not the end of the world. It was only going to be a P3 anyway. You live and learn. I guess let's move into real qualifying. Well, there we are then. Lando Norris sprint race win ahead of Max Verstappen there. Oscar Piastri in third ahead of Leclerc. George Russell, Franco Colapinto, Antonelli, and Carlos Sainz rounding out your top 8. Disappointing to see Fernando Alonso struggled so much. And Hulkenberg and Ocon both got penalties. it means that Hulkenberg beat me by a second in the end. So had we not lost our front wing, we might still have been able to beat the German when all is said and done. What does that mean the gap is as we head into the real race? We've still got a 26-point lead at the top of the table, so we will leave Miami still at the top of the championship. But Norris back tied with Leclerc, Hamilton disappointing for him. But yeah, let's move then into real qualifying. Well, after we saw the circuit dry up towards the end of the sprint race then, this is going to be the only real dry session we're meant to have all weekend here. Saturday qualifying, right when you would expect the laps to be really, really fast anyway. So hopefully we're about to deliver a good result here. Obviously for real qualifying, haven't been outside the top 3 yet so far this year. Yes, I'm probably now going to start featuring that caveat, as I hadn't really processed just how disappointing our sprint qualifying result was when all is said and done then. But making our way out through the first couple of corners, just want to try and make sure that we get a clean, tidy run on the board first of all. Again, I don't know how good the AI are going to be, especially in dry conditions around here. So we've just got to try and end up as high up the order as we can. Well, I have actually tried to trim out just a little bit of the downforce in the car to make it a bit quicker as we head into real qualifying then. But as we make our way down in towards those final couple of corners, again, still fastest in that middle sector. That seems to be where this Aston Martin's strengths lie. But where are we going to be then after the first run? Hopefully it's going to be a decent representative. We go P5. That's not bad at all. Well, the team reckon there's another 0.8 of a second in the car then by the end of qualifying. That would be good enough to put us up on pole position then. So I guess the goal now is just to see how close we can get to a 124 by the end of this session. Making our way down in towards turn 1. Of course, first and foremost, I just want to try and maintain my records of top 3s in qualifying. But we're going to have to get really, really brave over those curves there and immediately just finding a little bit more time through those first couple of corners. Down in towards the S's. Completely flat through the first part. Down a couple of gears through the second. Throw the car through the third as well. Don't allow it to run too wide, but try and make sure that we get on that throttle nice and early. A little bit wide over the curbing on the exit, but we'll carry the speed all the way down in towards the hairpin then. Carlos Sainz, very, very good time by the Williams man to slot himself up in P5. I'm sure we're going to see more and more improvements coming through from various other drivers as well. They're slightly early on the brakes down in towards the hairpin, but luckily we're able to attack the curb there and gather the car up nicely on the exit. Chuck it through the chicane as best as we can. Did a pretty good job there. I like keeping it planted over that curbing, and look at that, still 3/10 up then by the end of sector 2, 4/10 up on the provisional time set by George Russell, who was on a 125.6. So hopefully even just a small improvement could see us ahead of both Mercedes here by the end of the session. Could have possibly broke a little bit later down into the hairpin. We've done a pretty good job, and hopefully we can carry the speed on the exit. Short run back towards the start-finish line. It is going to be a 25.4. We go P3 again. Well, there we are then. Lando Norris, that 125.1. Very, very good there. Able to keep him in pole position. Charles Leclerc in second, just ahead of myself. And 5,000ths the difference between myself and Max Verstappen by the end of qualifying. Oscar Piastri just ahead of Sainz in both Mercedes, with Colapinto and Lawson running at your top 10. Again, Lewis Hamilton really, really struggling for qualifying pace here, down in 11th, just ahead of Hulkenberg, and Fernando Alonso in P13. That is a bit disappointing to see from our teammate. 29 slippery laps ahead of us, though. Anything can happen as we head into the Miami Grand Prix.
F1 is back in the United States of America. We're here in the Sunshine State for a race that's fast becoming a fan favourite. It's time for the Miami Grand Prix. Well, it's certainly not sunny here in the Sunshine State. A lap of the Miami Grand Prix features 19 corners and 3.36 miles of track around the Hard Rock Stadium. But these conditions should prove especially difficult for all of our drivers today. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Mr. Monaco, Verstappen, Oscar Piastri and Sainz, Russell, Antonelli, Colapinto and Liam Lawson. Hamilton, Hulkenberg, Fernando Alonso and Albon, Doohan, Ocon, Pierre Gasly and Ollie Behrman. Hadja and Gabriel Bortoleto rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Well, here we are then, down on the grid, ready for the Miami Grand Prix proper. 29 laps ahead of us, and, well, this is going to be one of those sessions where no matter if we get a safety car, a red flag, anything like that, it is just going to remain wet throughout. So, maybe, just maybe, we could try and no-stop these tyres. I don't really think that's going to be doable inside F1 25. But ready then on the grid, starting P3, 5 red lights. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go then as Lando Norris trying to defend from Charles Leclerc down in towards turn 1, but I think the Monegasque man has got a pretty good run there down the inside. We will go wheel to wheel, or with Max Verstappen just a little bit behind, and we'll get a bit of a slide on and just slam the door on the Dutchman here on this opening lap then. So, you know, very, very important that we do that. He is one of our main championship rivals, so it is key that, you know, we just get the elbows out. We just remind these guys that, you know, we are here to fight. We're not going to take anything lying down early on this season. As down in towards the back straight we go then. Just got to be really, really easy on the throttle. It's not looking like you're a million miles away from a crossover onto dry tyres then, as here comes Verstappen immediately not happy there and trying to use plenty of his battery to have a look back down the inside. Can we once again get later on the brakes though? Yes, we will, in supreme confidence. Again, just giving him a little bit of a squeeze out on this opening lap. But Lando Norris, he knows his game plan exactly like he did in the sprint. Try to pull away from the rest of the field nice and early on. Charles Leclerc, though, will just want to try and learn from his mistakes yesterday and not make another error this afternoon early. But, yeah, like I said, this is going to be a big old test. If we can just stick with these guys early on, I'll be very, very happy. Can we try and get a run on Leclerc down this back straight? I don't want to use too much battery. I think we'll just sit in for now. There's everybody just trying to learn where the grip is. Verstappen again trying to get a big run on me down the back straight. I feel like this is going to be kind of an early race pattern here, as already just struggling to keep up with Leclerc and Norris. I feel like, again, you know, you would expect the wet conditions to really suit this Aston Martin inside F1 25, but let's not forget, I am always cursed in the F1 games. I can never win 3 races in a row. Will that curse live on in this year's title? Just have a look then on the tyre management. We're just kind of getting into that overheating territory with the car at the moment. So really, really difficult to kind of just manage everything going on early here. We're at this horrible stage where, yeah, the inters are going to overheat slightly. There certainly would not be enough grip on a set of dry compound tyres to kind of be competitive. So we're kind of really, like, this is the worst case scenario inside F1 25. The AI are going to be rapid. They are able to manage tyre temperature because it's just not simulated for them. And we are kind of stuck just trying to defend from Max as best as I can early on. My other main championship rival, Oscar Piastri, a little bit further behind. But all I can really do is try to be smooth, try not to get any wheel spin. But ultimately, yeah, these tyres are just going to get warmer and warmer. And I don't know whether Mark's just simply not been watching this race so far, but I think we're going to be hard pushed to keep Verstappen behind me. There you go.
We needed there, I'm afraid. But head down, chin up, and let's focus on the rest of the race.
I mean, there goes Oscar Piastri down the inside then, so we're going to be 3 wide. Whoa, in towards the next corner there is what is Oscar doing? Trying to move right into a left-hander. We're still 3 wide as we try and navigate our way through. Surely this can't work out. Side by side with Verstappen we'll go. And everybody there doing a very good job. Not to end up in too much trouble. Somehow we hang on to it, but we are definitely causing a train here. Definitely slowing down quite a few cars. We'll see all the way back to Franco Colapinto. He's kind of stuck in this group as, again, we'll hang on to the spot for now, but this is just going to be one of those really depressing defensive drives, as we might not even get a chance to defend it there as Max Verstappen have a look down the inside. We've got yellows out as well a bit further back, no idea who might be breaking down and dropping out of this race then, but as Verstappen tries to bolt clear, it is Franco Colapinto. So he will become our first retirement of the afternoon. Will we get a safety car or anything like that? I think the FIA are okay. Oh no, we get a VSC. Trying to nail the timing then on this VSC, because it might be the only opportunity I get to have a look back down the inside of Verstappen, which we will just about do. And again, just squeeze him out on the exit of the corner. Don't give the Dutchman an opportunity to stay in this fight. But, I mean, yeah, we could end up on a two-stop strategy here. It might be a better way to look at the tyre temperature, as even under the VSC, the tyres don't come back anywhere near the right operating window. As again, Verstappen immediately will say thank you very much on the exit. We just cannot do anything against them here. This is going to be a horrible, horrible race right the way throughout this afternoon. We'll try and have a look back around the outside in towards the hairpin. Oh, there's a little bit of contact between the pair of us as we just lock the rears. And Max Verstappen again will say thank you very much. But as we get to the end of lap 9 then and 1/3 distance in this Grand Prix, we are really struggling now with the tyres. And for good reason. They're cooked. You just cannot do anything with them inside F1 25. Is trying to get the car slowed down, which we just about will, but
let's just focus on this pit stop.
yeah, we're going to have to move over to a two-stop strategy today, and honestly, I think if we're able to score points by the end of this, we should probably be quite happy with ourselves. Nice, quick, tidy pit stop by the team. It's this gaggle I'm hoping we can still beat by the end of the afternoon. Lewis Hamilton with a 10-second time penalty, not too sure what he's been up to.
Okay. Stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track.
Luckily, yeah, we've got plenty of intermediate sets of tyres then as we come back out just ahead of Ollie Behrman in this Grand Prix. But, yeah, Alonso Hulkenberg just in front of me now. So, I mean, we've got so much more grip than these guys. I was hoping we were still going to be quicker than a lot of these drivers then, as can we do the old up and under on Nico? Yes, we can. Oh, we get the elbows out with him a little bit more than I'd originally intended. But an overtake's an overtake. Here we go, Fernando Alonso then, trying to look around the outside of Lewis Hamilton. 9 Formula 1 World Championships going wheel to wheel between these two at the moment, as I think Hamilton, he might just be missing a little end plate there on his front wing, so really not too sure what has happened to our fellow Brit. Yes, he is, as down the inside we will go. Get the elbows out, and I think Hamilton kind of appreciated that wasn't his fight. A very cheeky little move, but we've made it work. I wouldn't even mind if you could, like, drive on puddles, and that would make a difference as well in these conditions, but there is just nothing you can do to manage the tyre temperature, and like I said, it's not an issue for the AI. Where they've got traction control inside this game, it's clear that this new patch has fixed absolutely nothing when it comes to the AI in the wet weather. Certainly made them a lot slower in a straight liner, which I guess is good, as to the inside of Alonso, who suddenly decided at the last moment there he wanted to defend to a lot more extremes, but luckily able to make it through without any contact between ourselves and our teammate there, as Liam Lawson, I think, is beginning to struggle in this race, as I believe, yeah, the Williams of Albon has broken free. Ocon has made it by now as well, so we've got to try and get on with it. Okay, so team now umming and ahhing about maybe dry compound tyres could be the way to go a little bit later on then, as the sun just starting to peek through. We could just get a few extra degrees of track temperature. It could be possible later on in the afternoon then, as down the inside of Liam Lawson.
A lot of tyre wear in the data. Please focus on looking after your tyres.
And already these tyres beginning to overheat once again then, as trying to get closer and closer to Esty Bestie. I mean, that's a long way back. Surely not, surely not. We get it slowed down, and I mean, I've always got a rule on the F1 games. It's fair if it's against Esteban Ocon. That might be the most audacious dive bomb I've ever gone for inside F1 25. It's worked, though. And next up is Alexander Albon. Rocks up to the back of Alexander Albon, but the team are really umming and ahhing about whether we could see a switch to dries before the end of the afternoon here, so as we try and get a run on Albon then, if the circuit does dry up, I'd rather it takes a little bit longer, to be completely honest, just because obviously once all of the AI have been and gone through the pit lane then, as I believe Albon will have to stay out one extra lap then, as Carlos Sainz doing much, much better in that Williams so far, and looks to obviously have dived into the pit lane then. We've come out just behind Verstappen though, so we haven't lost much to him.
ERS is low. Consider changing mode on your MFD, or lift a little with gentle braking into corners to recharge it.
So we lost about 4 seconds over those last few laps of the Dutchman then. That's quite worrying, considering I've had fresh tyres against his old ones. But hopefully then we can try and go for a move on Albon. I mean, this is where we've got all of the grip relative to the AI. So we'll try and do the old up and under, which we will once again make happen down the inside of Albon, and back up then into P6. Oh, we got a red flag. Surely that's going to be a red flag. I might have jumped the gun with it. But Oscar Piastri, I think, no, I don't know who it is. One of them's gone spinning. One of the McLarens there in trouble. And surely, I mean, that's Lando Norris, isn't it? Surely.
Ahead. Right,
he has got going again, though.
Targets there, but don't worry about it. Get your head down and chin up, and let's focus on the rest of this race.
I mean, a red flag right then would have really changed up this Grand Prix towards the end of the afternoon. But Lando Norris, under no pressure whatsoever, has probably at least bottled the victory today. But Charles Leclerc now moving up into P1. Surely the Ferrari man can hang on after his mistake yesterday. And I believe, yeah, Andrea Kimi Antonelli into the pit lane. So we're going to be back up into P4 then of this race after a couple of laps of craziness.
Fernando's in the pits.
Let's have a listen in to what the team think about the tyres then at the moment.
I don't think the line is really dry enough yet to start thinking about slicks. Let's hold on to the inters for a little while longer.
Yeah, he's really starting to talk about it though. He's really starting to think about it, is our engineer. But we've got to try and go another 3 laps on these inters. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I think we'll be going inters again. Yeah, Mark's still suggesting that the intermediate is tight, but it is the better tyre still to be on at this stage of the Grand Prix then, as Leclerc just new fastest laps coming in on repeat at the moment, as he's now lapped his former teammate in Lewis Hamilton here. I'm still hoping that we should be able to come through for, I believe, P7 by the end of the race there, just ahead of both Williams cars. And it looks like Fernando Alonso as well will hopefully be able to score some points then, but just take the last of whatever we've got left out of those second set of intermediates. And into the pit lane we will come once more then. This has been a tough old race. I will be happy once we get to the checkered flag, to be completely honest with you guys. Hopefully we can get another tidy stop, which we will.
Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
I mean, if we come out ahead of Albon here, we might have nothing to fight for towards the end of the afternoon, and that might just about happen. Yep, that's the plan. Get to the end, and well, look at that. Yeah, we've come out just ahead of Alex Albon then. We'll have fresher tyres towards the checkered flag. Can we take a second lap out of George Russell by the end? I'm not optimistic. We've got yellows. We've got another spinner. I think that's one of the V-carbs now then that might have gone round. And I mean, we're just waiting to see. Yes! Finally! I mean, we've got no more.
No overtaking, and let's get back into the pits, please.
I don't know whether that's good or bad for me, because of course now all of the AI will be able to pit onto a fresh set. But I don't know if I've got any fresh inters remaining towards the end of the GP there.
Right, if we play this right, we can get a nice advantage here. Let's have a think about how we handle the rest of this race.
Apparently we do have a fresh set of intermediates, so this might give us a golden opportunity to get back in the fight towards the end. The 5 red lights are on. It's going to be lights out, and away we go then. And of course we now know, with 5 laps to go, we can absolutely obliterate this set of intermediates if I need to there. Thought there might have been a gap down the middle of the Mercs, but that is definitely not going to happen, as we're actually going to be under pressure from Alex Albon through those first couple of corners. Look at Russell and Antonelli though. Really giving each other a run for their money through those first couple of turns. Antonelli has been the better Mercedes so far come race day Sunday, but will he be able to walk away with the result here? I'm going to try and immediately do what I do best and get down the inside of the pair of them. Down at the hairpin there. Up we will go into P6. And finally then, this race getting a little bit exciting right towards the end.
Great job. Really impressive.
Mark loving that overtake as well, as are we. But surely we can get Carlos Sainz and maybe one of those McLarens. I'd love a podium by the end of this, but I'm not going to hold my breath. And that Williams car then, we know just how quick that thing can be in a straight line, so we're just going to keep draining battery 210 miles an hour as we make our way down the back straight. Oh, that is very, very late on the brakes. I did panic for a moment that we might not get it stopped, but down the inside of Carlos Sainz we go then. And back to where we finished in Japan. I was just hoping that that P5 was going to be our worst result of the year. I will not complain today if we equal it. I know obviously every other race has been a win, but to walk away with double-digit points here, I will not complain. Well, to Charles Leclerc's credit, he has not put a foot wrong as we made our way through Grand Prix Sunday today. Didn't quite have the pace of Lando Norris early on, but as soon as Lando made that mistake, the Monegasque man has just stayed out front, but could still be under pressure from Max Verstappen on this last lap then. We have tried to rock up to the back of the McLaren cars as well. But I'm just not convinced we're going to have an opportunity on this very last lap. Just trying to harvest a little bit of extra battery just to see if we could do anything here with 1 lap to go. But yeah, through too much of this circuit, we are still struggling. I mean, we're already, yeah, completely overheating those rear tyres. Yes, again, towards the end, I just knew that obviously we can absolutely throw caution to the wind in these final few laps and try just to do anything we possibly could here. And, well, so far then, we seem to be sticking to our pattern of we either win or we come P5. It's an odd pattern, but hopefully it will still be successful enough to try and win us World Championships by the end of the season then. Are we seeing any moves going on though up at the front? Leclerc, Verstappen, Norris, nose to tail as they make their way down in towards the hairpin, but I think Charles Leclerc at the moment is just about doing enough to hang on for what would be a very important victory for he and Ferrari today then. Making our way through the final few corners. So far, it has mainly been us stealing the victories. Verstappen, of course, dominated back in Suzuka.
1.6 seconds.
But obviously Lando Norris got McLaren's first win of the year yesterday and making their way down in towards the final couple of corners. I think Charles Leclerc is going to get Ferrari's first win of the season today. Your top 4 nose to tail as they make their way through the final corner. But it is going to be Charles Leclerc that will claim victory this afternoon. What a result by Ferrari. We will come through for P5. Honestly, we got lucky.
Pick up rubber and bring it home.
Claire to the line, to the checkered flag. It's King Charles today. He wins.
To overcome the difficult circumstances they face throughout this race today, Crofty, it's not easy, and it really shows a lot of maturity, and you can use this, you can draw on this as a driver moving forward and boost your confidence through the rest of the championship.
Well, I don't know about you, but I've absolutely loved watching that action today, and I'm sure these 3 have loved taking part. Here come our podium finishers. And who gets to take the top step of the podium? Yes, it is I, Leclerc, Charles Leclerc on top.
Well, there we are then, 10 points on the board this weekend. Not ideal, but could have gone a whole lot worse for us. Charles Leclerc claims victory just ahead of Max Verstappen. Lando Norris ahead of Oscar Piastri and myself, with Carlos Sainz, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Albon, Alonso and Russell rounding out your top 10. Not too sure what happened to George to completely fall off the pace right towards the end, but just Franco Colapinto who failed to see the checkered flag today. What does that do to our championship standings? Well, it means Verstappen now only 18 points back there. Charles Leclerc a further 2 behind him, and Oscar Piastri as well as Lando not too far away either. Does seem like our top 5 dominating this season throughout the early stages. Hamilton, despite a disastrous weekend, still in P6 ahead of Kimi Antonelli. Both Williams just ahead of Russell, Colapinto, and Alonso now up into double digits as well. Jack Doohan, that important point for Alpine could prove critical by the end of the year. Constructors-wise, we take a big hit though. McLaren now 23 ahead of Red Bull. We are back down to P3 just ahead of Ferrari. Williams still ahead of Mercedes though. That could be a really, really interesting fight to watch out for throughout the long haul this season. Thank you all so much for watching though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourselves subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix.